What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar. And we are looking at our futures contract right now, kind of going crazy all over the place. I believe we have Microsoft and Google release earnings. I think I can check real quick. Look at Microsoft. Look, look at Microsoft here. Pushed up to 416.11 and then dropped all the way down to 403.90. So a whole lot of chop there for Microsoft. And then let's look at Google real quick. It's Google's alphabet right there. Let's see what's Google doing. Oh, big miss. Oh, Google. Holy. All right. So Google Google pushed up in the after hours to 153.25 and then dropped all the way down to 145.49. So some pretty decent sized moves here in the after hours for both of those stocks as they have just released earnings. And so far, I mean, going nowhere for the most part, just causing a lot more havoc and chop, to say the least. Overall today for us in the ES futures contract was a very choppy day. I said in yesterday's video how buyers wanted to open up inside of the previous day's upper distribution. Okay, and I marked those yesterday. Also, new background. If you guys like it, let me know. If not, then we might go back to the other. But I kind of like it. I like the change here. But we had and I was also mistaken yesterday. I said we only had a double distribution day up. We actually had a triple distribution day up. I didn't think, or I failed to realize that this right here that I'm highlighting was 3 wide at 49, 30, 50, which would make that a middle distribution. So we had 3 different distributions yesterday, not 2. So it wasn't a double distribution day up. It was a triple distribution day up. And I'm highlighting those distributions currently. Okay. And in yesterday's video, nonetheless, I said that it would be positive for buyers to open up inside of the upper distribution if they wanted to get any legs to the upside. Well, we opened up there and then we stayed. We remained in the upper distribution for majority of the day, dipped our toe into the single prints, 2 times, actually 1, 2, 3, 4 times getting rejected out of it. But basically remaining within that upper distribution, not even getting close to filling the single prints or getting into that middle distribution there. So very positive day for the buyers to remain up here. We took out both sides of the initial balance per usual. I mean, it's like clockwork almost nowadays, where we're kind of expecting to see both sides of the initial balance be taken out. And keep in mind that is the first 2 30-minute time frames, and since B was that entire range from 54 down to 44, basically a 10-point range, we took it out in E period, the initial balance high, couldn't get the overnight high. Then we rotated lower, 2 time frames lower, took out the initial balance low and couldn't get the overnight low. And I'm gonna pull up the 10-minute chart real quick just to show you where the overnight low and the overnight high was located. Had a little bit of support and resistance areas I was looking at throughout the day. Took a couple trades against the overnight high and the all-time high, but we have an overnight high which we hit to the tick late in the day right here at 57.25. Okay, and then our overnight low was right here at 40.75. All right, we didn't take out either one. We hit the top one to the tick. We hit the overnight high to the tick. So if I pull up the destinations here, you can see in our 30-minute time frame during our regular trading session how late in the day we pushed up, and then earlier in the day we had just front ran that level at 40.75. So let me get that a little bit more real there for you. But you can see how we pushed down, front ran it after taking out the initial balance low, and then we just continue to chop around for majority of the day. The only time I got involved was fading the edge, and I wanted to fade the extreme up here when we hit the overnight high at 57.25. I wanted to fade the extreme, but just to come back down into the point of control, which at the time was at 50.25, but I didn't know, with it being as late as it is in the day, what the market was going to do in the next time frame. Because Mo being Mo, typically, it can go pretty haywire. It can go up and then rotate back in and take out the entire day's range, no problem. So I just felt it was best to take my measly 25 points on the day and call it a day, right? So I got short up here at 55 to rotate into point of control down here at 50.25, and basically did that in this time frame prior to end period, or prior to setting that high. We actually had a reversal bar where we pushed down, got to the point of control, and then pushed back up, getting the overnight high, and then closing just back inside of the day's range. So, not a bad day for me as far as trading goes. But from the technical side, we just go out with an 11 wide point of control and remained in the upper distribution. So, positive for the buyers. Now tomorrow, with the Fed minutes coming out, the FOMC, not Fed minutes, excuse me, but with the FOMC rate hike decision, when that comes out tomorrow, that could, put everything into a tizzy. And obviously, right now, the market's not liking the Google and Microsoft earnings. And then obviously, from my perspective, UPS, my employer, had a pretty rough start to their morning with the earnings as well. We're not doing as well as some investors would like, and we're actually cutting 12,000 jobs. So not very good for the UPSers out there as far as management and non-union employees go. So that means me. So it's things are starting to tighten up around here. People are starting to see the more realistic side of the macro with how these rate hikes and how the inflation has affected the consumer, and clearly it has affected the consumer pretty good. But enough about that. Let's just get into the technicals real quick, mark the destinations, and then get you guys on the way. Like I said, 11 wide point of control. And when I say that, I just mean we had 11 time frames trade back and forth between this 50.25. Now, initially, point of control was actually down here at 47.50 for a while, and then it got moved up, and then it got moved up again to 50.25. So 11 wide point of control up here. And I was having a discussion with Paul earlier prior to the market closing, trying to determine whether or not this market today, anybody that was buying, if they were to be considered laggard buyers, and what I mean by laggard buyers is, yesterday we had the big move up, right? We had the big move up yesterday. And then today, obviously, we have a little bit of profit taking and then buyers stepping into the market because it was two-sided trade, right? Buyers and sellers were both happy meeting in the middle here around 50.25. Sellers selling up here, buyers buying at the lows, and then kind of meeting in the middle and exchanging goods right there, right? So what I was trying to figure out or decipher is, are these buyers going to be laggard buyers that stepped in the market today, supporting the and remaining in the upper distribution here? Are they going to be the laggard buyers, and tomorrow we come in pretty good, filling the set of single prints, opening up maybe around the middle distribution or the lower distribution, and then chopping around down there? If so, then yeah, they would be considered laggard buyers. And then obviously those that were getting out near the highs of their long positions, made the right decision, and then could continue to cause more liquidity in this market. The reason I say that is because volume was light. So it's just short-term traders, and they're very weak-handed in the sense of, they don't really care where value or price builds. All they see is the technical, and right now, what they seen today was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times felling above 56. Okay, we fell several times above 56 and then closed near the lows. So, from that technical perspective, sellers could be stepping in this market and we could see this roll over. But the more probable thing with the bigger picture, looking at the monthly, the weekly, and the daily, is that we are still one time framing up on all three of the time frames, and probability does favor taking out and continuing to one time frame up on the daily. However, with the way the market's looking right now in the after hours, could be a little bit different. Keep in mind, if we do take out today's low of 41.50, we will come back into an initial 3-day balance. And depending on how aggressive we get to the downside tomorrow, if we get aggressive to the downside tomorrow, will determine how big that balance is, because it will have just begun forming. All right. Enough about speculation, but I thought that was just a good good conversation to have. Just trying to figure out what this market is, who the buyers are, who the sellers are, knowing who our competition is. That way we can better prepare ourselves in the future, right? So that's just kind of where we're at and how we're looking at things. It's always good to have those conversations and kind of understand or have an idea of where things could go and where they could be. All right, so we have today's low day, and where single prints now start at 41.50. All right, and then we have today's high day, all-time high, 57.25. Now we only took out the previous high by 1.25 point, so not very promising there for the buyers, right? Obviously, if you wanted to have an inside day up, you failed. And, that could be a telltale sign, especially with the 11Y point of control up here, telltale sign that this market may begin to give some of this back, especially if they don't like what they hear tomorrow. But as of recent, with every FOMC meeting they had, it's been kind of positive, I guess. We've kind of exploded up on the last few. So maybe we're due for a bit of a hawkish, I guess I should say, hawkish outlook for the Fed, but we'll see how that goes tomorrow. So there we have it. There's our high day, our low day. Let's go over our destinations just briefly, okay? High day 57.25, 11Y point of control down here at 49.50.25, low day at 41.50. All right. So if we open up below 50.25 tomorrow, and we take out 41.50, we will be coming back into a balance, and then you'll look to see if these single prints fill, and they fill down here at 32.50, and then you'll be getting into this middle distribution. You find any acceptance in this middle distribution here, you will go into the next set of single prints that start at 28.50, they fill at 27.50, and then we'll begin to find any acceptance in that lower distribution right there. Then we will come down and test the afternoon pullback low at 49.19.75. Then you have several low days just within a couple of points of each other. 49.12.75, we get that. 49.07.50, we get that. 48.96.75, we get that. 48.95.25, and then we'll begin to kind of dip our toe into where that we spiked up and had this larger move come from 89.25, and then a 9Y point of control down here at 82.25. Now, the reason I give you all those downside destinations because we don't know how big tomorrow's range can be and what the volatility could be on the downside. Now, on the upside, we know if we open above 50.25 and we get above 57.25, there's nothing overhead, right? We have nothing until the 5,000 level, which is several points above us. So another 50 points another 50-point run to the upside could easily get that. And then obviously, if it's a nothing day, expect a whole lot of chop between 41.50 and I would say 27.50, in my opinion. I think that, or between 50.25 and 27.50, I could see us doing a whole lot of chopping in this whole range here, kind of going boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? You feel my chop here? You like my chop? Yeah. So kind of expecting to see a little bit of that tomorrow. But especially if it's a non-event with the Fed rate hike decision, we'll see how that goes. And then I just want to briefly kind of look at those their stonks. again real quick. So yeah, Microsoft basically back to where it closed. And then Google, a lot uglier than what probably most people would like to see. 146.53 is where they're trading currently. 145 actually is where they closed. Or actually no, not closed. 151 is where they closed. Trading 144.94. So kind of ugly there for Alphabet. Let's just for shits and giggles. They beat earnings and revenue, so that's not terrible. It's probably their outlook's probably not looking too good. That could be it. But yeah, shares trading lower here for Alphabet, excuse me, for Google. And then just briefly, let's look at Microsoft, what the deal was with Microsoft. Cloud revenue, 33.7 billion. Consensus of 33. Looks like Microsoft beat as well. So maybe it's outlook. Maybe they're not kind of seeing a growth year for them, for Alphabet and Microsoft here. So shares trading lower as well, but not too much lower. Actually, trading higher for Microsoft, trading lower for Google. So just briefly on the larger time frames, let's give her a look, shall we? Just looking at the daily. We're just going to look at the daily. We know the weekly's up. We know the monthly's up. Let's look at the daily. Now, the daily has continuously one time frame up. I was saying it was up to balance, but technically it was never in a balance. So we have been one time framing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row of continuous one time framing up, 57.25 all time high. In order for us to come back into a balance, we have to take out today's low. We take out today's low, then depending on how much we pull back will determine the size of that balance. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. Leave a like and comment something down below. How'd you trade? Let me know. If you like the structure of the videos, let me know. If not, let me know how I can improve, please. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. See ya.